The diner smelled like old grease and scorched coffee, the kind of smell that never really left no matter how many times the floors were mopped. Lena moved from table to table on aching feet, wiping crumbs into her palm and dumping them into a gray plastic bin. It was just past noon, that awkward hour when the lunch rush faded and the dinner crowd was still a long way off. The radio behind the counter played softly, some forgotten soul song crackling through tired speakers. Lena had learned to love this quiet stretch of the day. It gave her a moment to breathe, to loosen the knot in her shoulders, to remind herself she was still standing. She'd been on her feet since 5 in the morning, pouring coffee, carrying plates, apologizing for things that weren't her fault. The tips were light today. Rent was due in a week. She pushed the thought away. The bell above the diner door chimed, sharp and lonely. Lena looked up automatically, her practiced smile already forming. But it faltered when she saw who had stepped inside. The girl couldn't have been more than 13 or 14. She stood just inside the doorway as if unsure whether she was allowed to cross the invisible line into warmth and light. Her hoodie was 2 sizes too big, sleeves frayed at the cuffs. One sneaker had duct tape wrapped around the toe. Her hair hung loose and tangled, framing a face that was pale but not dirty, like she'd been trying to stay clean and failing only because the world made it hard. The girl's eyes moved quickly, taking in the booths, the counter, the plates of food still steaming on a nearby table. She swallowed. Her stomach made a small, traitorous sound, loud enough that Lena heard it from across the room. The girl flinched, cheeks burning red. Lena had seen hunger before. Not the kind that came from skipping breakfast, but the kind that hollowed people out from the inside. She'd seen it in her own reflection years ago, when she'd first arrived in the city with nothing but a suitcase and a stubborn belief that things would get better. The girl took one hesitant step forward, then another, drifting toward an empty booth near the window. She slid into the seat but didn't touch the menu. Her hands stayed folded in her lap, fingers worrying the hem of her hoodie. Every few seconds her gaze darted to the counter, then away, like she expected to be yelled at. Lena dried her hands on her apron and walked over slowly, careful not to startle her. "Hey there," she said gently. "You can sit wherever you like." The girl looked up, eyes wide. I'm not ordering," she said quickly. "I'm just waiting." "Waiting for someone?" Lena asked. The girl shook her head. "Just waiting." Lena knew what that meant. Waiting for warmth. Waiting for a moment of rest. Waiting until someone noticed and decided whether she was worth the trouble. "You hungry?" Lena asked quietly. The girl's first instinct was to lie. Lena saw it in the way her mouth opened, how the word almost came out. But then her shoulders sagged, and she nodded, just once. "I don't have any money," she said, staring at the cracked tabletop. "I can leave." "You don't need to," Lena replied. She slid a menu across the table anyway. "Take a look." The girl hesitated, then picked it up as if it might bite her. Her eyes skimmed the pictures, widening slightly at the pancakes dripping with syrup, the eggs piled high beside golden toast. "I can't," she whispered. "It's expensive." Lena smiled, a real one this time. "Order anything. It's on me." The girl looked up sharply. "Why?" Lena didn't have an answer that would make sense to someone who'd learned the world didn't give things away for free. So she shrugged. "Because I want to." Silence stretched between them. Finally, the girl pointed timidly at the breakfast special. "Just that. The smallest one." Lena nodded. Coming right up. She took the order to the kitchen, ignoring the cook's raised eyebrow when she said it was on her tab. As the food cooked, Lena poured the girl a glass of orange juice and set it down gently. The girl stared at it for a moment before taking a careful sip, as if afraid it would vanish. When the plate arrived, the girl froze. The smell alone seemed to overwhelm her. Eggs, toast, pancakes, more food than she'd probably seen in days. Her hands trembled as she picked up her fork. "Take your time," Lena said softly. The girl nodded and began to eat. Not greedily, but with urgency, each bite measured, deliberate. She kept glancing up, as if expecting someone to snatch the plate away. Lena stayed nearby, pretending to polish silverware, watching without watching. Other customers came and went, but Lena didn't rush the girl. Hunger deserved patience. Halfway through the meal, tears slipped down the girl's cheeks. She wiped them away quickly, embarrassed. "Sorry," she muttered. "No need to be," Lena said. "Food does that sometimes." When the plate was empty, the girl leaned back slightly, one hand resting on her stomach like she was surprised by the feeling of fullness. She looked lighter somehow, as if the weight pressing down on her had eased, just a little. "What's your name?" Lena asked. "Maya," the girl said. "Yours?" Lena. Maya nodded, committing it to memory. She slid out of the booth slowly, like she didn't want to break the moment. Thank you, she said, voice unsteady. I won't forget this, I promise. Lena waved it off. Just take care of yourself, okay? Maya hesitated at the door, then turned back. For a second, she looked like she wanted to say more, but the words stayed trapped inside her. The bell chimed as she stepped out into the cold. Lena stood there for a long moment, staring at the door. Then she returned to the counter, pulled out her wallet, and paid the bill with the cash she'd been saving for groceries. Her stomach tightened, but her heart felt strangely full. She had no idea that the girl would walk back into her life again. And when she did, everything Lena thought she knew about kindness, fate, and reward would change forever. The next morning began like any other, with the hiss of the espresso machine and the clatter of plates echoing through the diner. Lena tied her apron, smoothing the worn fabric with practiced hands, and took her place behind the counter. She was still thinking about the girl from yesterday, about the way Maya had eaten, careful and grateful, as if the food were something sacred. Lena wondered where she had slept that night, whether she had found warmth, whether the world had been any kinder to her after she walked out the door. Around 9, the bell above the entrance chimed again, sharper than usual, cutting through the hum of conversation. Several heads turned at once. Lena glanced up and frowned. A sleek black sedan was parked outside, its paint reflecting the morning sun. Two men in tailored suits stepped inside, scanning the diner with alert, searching eyes. They didn't look like they belonged there. This place was used to construction workers, tired mothers, and old men nursing coffee for hours, not people who moved like they were used to commanding rooms. Lena felt a knot tighten in her stomach. For a split second, she worried something was wrong. Maybe yesterday's kindness had somehow broken a rule she didn't know existed. Then the door opened again. Maya stepped inside. For a heartbeat, Lena didn't recognize her. The oversized hoodie was gone, replaced by a simple but clean jacket. Her hair was neatly braided, her face washed, her posture straighter, more certain. But it was still her, the same eyes. Bright and searching, now shining with something new. Maya spotted Lena immediately. Her face lit up, and she rushed forward. It's her, she said, tugging on the hand of the woman who entered behind her. The woman's presence seemed to change the air in the room. She was tall, elegant, with silver threaded through her dark hair and a calm authority that made people unconsciously sit up straighter. She wore a tailored coat, understated but unmistakably expensive. Good morning, the woman said, her voice warm and steady. Are you Lena? Lena nodded slowly, suddenly aware of the coffee stain on her sleeve. Yes, can I help you? The woman extended her hand. My name is Eleanor Brooks. The name meant nothing to Lena at first. She shook Eleanor's hand, noticing her grip was firm but kind. This is my daughter, Maya, Eleanor continued, resting a hand on the girl's shoulder. Lena's breath caught. Your daughter? Maya nodded quickly. I came home last night. Eleanor's eyes softened. She ran away weeks ago after we argued. I've been searching everywhere, shelters, hospitals, the streets. Last night, she walked through the front door and told me the first place she felt safe in days was this diner. Maya looked at Lena, eyes shining. She fed me when she didn't have to. She didn't ask me questions. She just helped. Lena swallowed hard. I just bought her breakfast. Eleanor smiled gently. Sometimes that's everything. She glanced around the diner, taking in the chipped tables, the faded booths, the tired but hard-working faces of the staff. I started out in a place just like this, Eleanor said. Waiting tables, counting tips, wondering if kindness would ever come back around. The cook leaned out from the kitchen, curiosity written all over his face. A few regulars pretended not to listen, failing miserably. Eleanor reached into her coat and pulled out a business card, placing it on the counter. I own several restaurant chains across the state. I won't pretend this place doesn't need help. The owner has been looking to sell for months. Lena stared at the card, her hands trembling. I don't understand. I'm buying the diner, Eleanor said simply. Not to change it, to protect it. The room fell silent. I want this place to stay what it is, a safe stop, a warm meal, a second chance, Eleanor continued. And I want someone who understands that running it. Lena's heart pounded. Me, yes, Eleanor said, if you want the job. General manager, fair salary, benefits. Lena's vision blurred. She thought of the rent notices, the endless shifts, the way she'd paid for Maya's meal with money she couldn't spare. Maya stepped closer and hugged her around the waist without warning. You saved me, she whispered. Lena knelt down, holding her gently. No, sweetheart, you found your way home. Eleanor watched them, eyes glistening. Kindness is a habit, she said softly. And it deserves a place to live. A week later, Lena unlocked the diner as the sun rose, the keys heavy and real in her hand. The sign outside had been cleaned, the booths repaired, but the soul of the place remained untouched. The same bell chimed, the same coffee brewed. Every afternoon, Maya came by after school, sliding into the booth by the window, homework spread out across the table. She waved at Lena, who waved back, still amazed at how quickly life could turn. Lena never forgot the lesson the diner taught her, that one small act, given freely, could ripple outward in ways no one could ever predict. And every time she saw Maya laugh, warm and safe, she knew that sometimes the world does notice. And sometimes, it answers.